The television audience seldom sees the figures. As a matter of fact, other than officials and competitors, no one ever seems to see figures. But they are still 20% of the marks in competition. Toller's going to have a look at the figures skated by the two Canadian girls here in Paris.
This is a scene that is all too familiar for any ex-international skater, and that is, of course, the field of school figures. It is one of the most unnerving exercises in sport. Here Charlene is doing a back loop change loop, which you can see rather accurately. It appears that the figure is rather good, and probably during her previous years in world competition she would have done just about the same sort of figure and not really have had any marks higher than about 2. This is only because she would have been dismissed as kind of a C skater. But now she's sort of seems to be moving up the ladder. She did win one international competition in England, and there you see that she has marks that are up to 3.4. Now 3.4 out of a possible 6 doesn't sound very high, but believe me, those are very high, and she probably would come about 6th overall out of a school of 30. Here we have Karen Preston. Now, for anybody doing figures in Worlds for the first time, it is extremely unnerving, very intimidating, and you can't quite understand why the figures that you do on the practice aren't quite the same figures that you do in the competition. Karen seems to be naively worried that she's missed her center, but really her problem is that she's making her debut in the international world, and the judges are basically going to assess her and their marks by the way that she'll free skate. So the fact that she might not have done a great figure is not as important as making a great impression in free skating, which she's capable of doing.
Toller, Cranston won medals for Canada at Worlds and Olympics, but not because you enjoyed the figures, I think.
I certainly did not, Ted. I was always very nervous, far more nervous than any of those two girls were, but I'm glad to see that they'll soon be over.
Well, both Canadian men did move up after the figures, and now we're going to the men's final. There are 5 in there. Any one of them could win. Analyze the top people, Toller.
Well, Ted, I can analyze them by comparing them to cars. I think Fadeev is very much like a Mercedes, very trusty and a perfect machine. Bowman is a classic with style, like a Jaguar. Maybe Browning is a kind of Lamborghini, fast, dangerous, and a virtuoso. And there's, of course, a Ferrari out there with Victor Petrenko, who is extremely incredible, a virtuoso and an artist as well. Any of them can crash and any of them can win.
Well, that is what makes it so very, very exciting. And we're going now to the men's free skating. On the ice.